I'm headed to pick up Matt Prada, also known as Aaron, to go to the Aries concert in DC. If you are not acquainted with Aries, he's kind of a very niche artist. He only has like 500,000 monthly listeners. I will play, I'm pretty sure his music is free to use on YouTube without copyright strikes, so I'll play some of his new shit.
Yeah. Do you ever feel ashamed? I think of the past only to show what I became. Give me something to lose, remember holding on. Now the guilt weigh a ton, but I'll pick it up the same. No, you can't ride with me. End up in the driver's seat. See, I had a crash to get a handle on the brakes. Breaking the glass, I think it's hanging off my face.
This is the first concert I've ever been to. I, up until now, have been so unbelievably broke that I couldn't afford to go to a concert. And I don't even make any more money than I used to. I just started realizing that I was spending money on such useless, unnecessary shit that once I cut the costs of that, my life got a lot more enjoyable and a lot less stressful. And I'm just smarter now. Like, I don't need to spend as much money to get the same value out of things as I used to. I don't know. Ever since I got control of my health, I've gotten mentally sharper. Anyway, I'm pretty excited. I hope it's gonna be a good time. Oh, I forgot to clean underneath my nails. Oh, my nails look like shit. But every time I see a concert on the internet, like clips, videos of a concert, I almost always am not interested in it. It seems like so much less enjoyable than the studio version of the song. But I have a feeling that going to see it in person is kind of where the value comes from. My mom has this thing where she prefers to listen to the live versions of songs. And I never really understood that. I always have preferred the studio version because the artist spends so much more time, most of the time, at least modern artists spend so much more time on the studio version. They can tweak every little thing. They can't do that with a live version. You only get one chance to do it, and then it's done. You only get one chance to play the song. And I guess that's where the magic is for her, because it's more real. And I feel that. I understand that you want something to sound more real, especially like an older audience. They prefer more authentic and real music. I don't mind music that has auto-tune in it, or new age digital effects, because it still requires skill to put together a song that people actually want to listen to. Like, there are so many people on SoundCloud dropping music that uses autotune, and for some reason only a select portion of those people actually receive praise for their music. There's a reason for that. I see autotune, I think T-Pain put it, that it's like using an amplifier on a guitar. It can be, at least. A lot of people do use autotune as a crutch, especially pop artists. They just use Melodyne and autotune to just make their voice sound better. But a lot of the time, you ever hear T-Pain sing without autotune? He has an incredible voice. the reason that he uses autotune is because he likes the way it sounds. He likes that robotic sound. And if you're the type of person who gets repulsed by that, then more power to you. If you don't like that robotic sound, that's totally cool. Everyone likes different shit. I mean, there's no such thing as fact in music. There's only opinion. There's no such thing in my mind as objectivity in music. And it pisses me off when people treat their opinions as facts. Like, oh, this is real music. This right here. This Creedence Clearwater. This is real music right here. And I love Creedence Clearwater. I'd like to make that known. I love that band. I just don't like when people act like their musical opinions are the only ones that are valuable. And to shit talk another person for having poor music taste. It's something that I've done in the past. I have. I think it's ill-advised, I would say. Because it's completely dependent on how you grew up, who you grew up around, what happened to you in your life, who your friends are. It's almost out of your control. And to act like any path that a human takes to like what they want to like is a better one doesn't seem fair or reasonable to me. It doesn't seem rational. So anyway, there is a Taco Bell cantina right next to the Fillmore, which is the venue, and they serve alcoholic Baja Blasts. So I am so inclined to participate. I'm probably more excited for that than I am for the concert. I only drink like 3 to 4 times a year, to be quite honest. I don't drink that much. But when I do, I have a great time. And what I was saying about how really there's no such thing as objectivity when it comes to music, that also applies for other things like fashion and just general lifestyle, how people want to live their lives. Although there are certain parts of living life that I would say are just plain bad. I won't go into it. I won't go into those things. What else? What kind of job somebody wants to have, as long as it's not hurting other people, as long as it's not putting other people's lives, making other people's lives worse. Types of car one wants to drive. Anything that involves taste. Maybe even political opinion, though that is tough. That's more tough. That might be more objective than something like music. Especially since it involves all people. Let me give you an example here of the music thing. Playboi Carti. Any boomer who listens to Playboi Carti would not even consider it music, right? And if they don't like Playboi Carti, they're allowed to not like him. But to call it not music, I think is I would say is probably wrong, because I would define music as sound structured in a rhythmic way in a way that brings pleasure to the human ear, or something like that, some kind of shit like that. And under that definition, Playboi Carti is music. And I'm not the biggest fan of him, right? I like some of his songs. I've heard some of his songs and hated them. But I think Quadeca, who is a YouTuber and also a friend of Aries, Quadeca put it very well, I think. Playboi Carti is like the Jackson Pollock of the music industry. Jackson Pollock is that artist that he just sort of throws the paint onto the canvas, and all of his paintings kind of look like just a mess, but it's structured in an eclectic way that gives it some kind of meaning. And I'm not a very huge fan of Jackson Pollock, and I'm not a huge fan of Playboi Carti, but I think these people's work maybe should be respected more, even if you don't like it. I don't know. I just got a Taco Bell notification on my phone. They know I'm coming. How do they know? It's a Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. I just realized. Get a load of this. Get a load of this. This is Matt Prada, aka Aaron's credit card.
Don't mind the messy car, guys. Don't mind that.
This is not a messy car in the slightest. It's kind of a mess. It's slightly messy in the back, but my car has been far worse.
They bust me, they see your car, that car's up, how you drown out, salt water, go home now, sayonara, go home now, sayonara, you wasted, I'm faceless, you bother, no patience, and we work it out at night, that's a great shift, if we took another shot, would you chase it?
Alright, unfortunately my phone died, so I couldn't vlog much, and I'm probably going to turn this light off because, like, it's 12 in the morning on a Tuesday night, and I had 2 shots of tequila at around 6:30, so, like, probably 7, so that should be completely cleared from my system by now. I'm just playing it a little safe, but that was what I expected it to be for my first concert. It's my favorite artist of all time. He's like a hero to me. All of the songs that I've ever wanted to hear live from him, I heard live tonight, which was really amazing. I'm glad that he left in all of his best songs from the past along with all of his best songs from the album. It was a really enjoyable experience. The fans there were awesome. Like, they were really cool. And I know that a lot of the people who might be watching might not even know who Aries is, and that's totally fine. And it's weird to think that you don't know who he is because he's had such an incredible influence on my life. Like, think of your favorite artist and how much of an influence they've had on your life. Thinking about going to see them for the first time and reflect on that for yourself. That's how I feel right now. It was weird. It was weird seeing him actually in person and knowing that he exists as a person. It's weird because I've only seen him on a screen. And I could have had maybe the opportunity to meet him after the show, but I didn't want to meet him as a fan. I'd like to meet him as a peer someday. And I'd rather have the opportunity to do that, and possibly not meet him at all. I guess a lot of people maybe have certain goals in life, and those goals are maybe materialistic or even experience-based. And I have a lot of experience-based goals and some materialist goals. Not many materialist goals, I have to say. Probably some, though, if I had to think about it. But I guess my goals in life are, my biggest ones are based on friendships and relationships. I want to make friends with people. I want to feel like I belong in this world. And I want to feel like I have a really strong family. And when I say family, I don't necessarily mean just blood relatives. Yo, this motherfucker's going 35 and a 55. If they're trying to disguise themselves from the cops and make sure they don't get pulled over, they're doing a really fucking bad job. Jesus Christ, dude. If I was a cop, I would pull you over in a second. Oh my Jesus. But yeah, I don't care as much about experiences. I do care a lot about it. I care just as much about experiences probably, but I don't care nearly as much about materialistic goals as I do about building strong connections with people. If you had to ask me what the meaning of life was, I would probably say something to do with social connection. Finding where you belong in this world. Finding the people who understand you and who you understand. And building deep connections with them. And probably one of my biggest goals is to become friends with my heroes. Whether that's going to happen or not, but to give you some perspective, I guess, Aries was... I was in high school in 2000, from 2017 to 2021, and during that time I was obviously learning a lot about life, and I was making a lot of mistakes and having a lot of happy times and a lot of sad times. And one of the biggest things I was doing was trying to become good at music. I found that it was like a pathway to make friends and have a meaning in life. And I was watching all these YouTube videos about how to make better music and whatnot. God, can't believe I just said the word whatnot. It's fucking dumb. It's a dumbass word. Anyway, I was using it as a way to find meaning and to feel like I was a meaning, that my life had meaning. I was watching these YouTube videos to get better at music, and one of his videos popped up. It was like how Lil Uzi Vert made EXO Tour Life in 2 minutes, and he would show how the beat was made, how the production was done. And I thought it was so cool. And he had this studio with a couch in the back and acoustic foam on the wall. And I thought, wow, this guy's life must be so cool. This guy must have such an exciting life. He's a professional musician. He does this all the time. He does it every day. And then I learned that that was actually his bedroom. He was in his bedroom, his parents' house. He was in his bedroom. And he was so anxious. He was such an anxious teenager that he didn't even want to leave his bedroom. He was scared to leave his bedroom. And learning that changed my perspective so much. It humanized one of my heroes. And that was so strange to see. it's weird to think about how your heroes are also humans. They do very human things. They talk like humans. They act like humans. They get up in the morning and they have to brush their fucking teeth. And they get up in the morning and go, they probably still get up in the morning and go, oh, fuck, I gotta do this today. They do human things. And I'm rambling, but he got me to understand. He made me realize that I could, that I didn't have to use cookie cutter production. I didn't have to go on YouTube and search up beats for my songs like I was doing. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, because I still do it and I still do it for fun. He made me realize that I can actually start with nothing. Because I used to download beats off of a YouTube to MP3 converter. I would go to YouTube, look for a beat, surf around until I found something that was close to what I believed in musically. And then I would load it up into Audacity, or later on it was FL Studio. And I would do my vocals over it, and I would call that a song. And it is a song. But it didn't feel like it was me. It didn't feel like it was me who was making that song. I didn't feel like I made that song. I just felt like I sung some vocals on it. Then I discovered, oh wow, I can just open up the same FL Studio or whatever that I was using to record the vocals, and I can actually make the entire song in there. I can start from scratch and synthesize ideas from my own brain. I can just think up a song and make it and put it in there, play it, and then I can listen back to it, and then I can hear it. And I know this sounds so trivial, but it was so magical. Like, I can just create an entire thing from that wasn't there before. That wasn't even there. I can just make it show up with my mind. And that made me feel so important. And it was such a beautiful thing. And to this day, I still, when I sit down to make a song, I just have something in my head. I think of what I would want to hear. What do I want to hear? What do I need to say? What do I need to express through sound and through music, through instrumentation, through melodies and harmonies? What do I need to make? And then I can just make it. And it's so freeing and so beautiful. And if it weren't for Aries, I probably would not be doing that. And God, I'm rambling like a motherfucker. I feel like Charles Dickens right now, getting paid by the word. God damn. Might cut a lot of this. But music makes me... Music is a nice reminder that I exist. When I listen to music and when I make music, it makes me feel like I exist as a person. It makes me feel like I have a place and that I belong. And it translates feelings into words and sounds that I never thought could be translated. I could keep talking about this for hours and hours and hours and still not be done. So I guess I'll leave it at that. And I know I've been talking about this for a while, and it's hard to imagine anyone caring that much about this topic. But one of my favorite parts of music and my favorite thing about music is how you can translate an emotion in a way that you wouldn't have been able to do with words. That's probably my favorite, the most impactful thing about it is that you can take an emotion that you have and you can put it in a little bottle and you can pour it out through a melody, through sounds, through music. And you don't have to say anything, really. You can say things and make it even more detailed. You don't have to say anything. And I think the reason I like Aries so very much, and I hope there's at least one person out here who listening, watching this video, who knows who he is and feels the same way. The reason I love what he does so much, and the reason that I admire him so much, is that he captures the feeling of nostalgia so well. And I don't mean his songs sound nostalgic. I mean that they capture the feeling of nostalgia. Maybe especially the Welcome Home album. Because nostalgia is such an ambivalent feeling. Ambivalent here meaning that it can be so good and also so bad. It can make me feel so happy, and it can make me feel so sad. When I get nostalgia about something that happened in my past, at the same time, I become happy, so happy that it happened, and I become so painfully sad that it will never happen again, or that at least it feels like it will never happen again. It's such an ambivalent feeling. And Aries captures that so well. And I really started listening to him at a time when so much was changing in my life. And I was losing friends. Because the pandemic hit when I was a junior in high school. March of my junior year of high school. And all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, I was an adult. I wasn't a kid anymore. I never went back to school. Pretty much never. It was still a thing for a year and a half, but it wasn't really what it was. It was nothing close to what it was. I was spearheaded into the real world. I was in a car that went from 0 to 60 in a tenth of a second. I started working for a mortgage company. I started working for a software engineering consulting company with 40-year-olds when I was 18. And I was so dumb, and I prioritized work so much that I lost friends. I lost so many friends like that. I went from seeing them every day to never seeing them again in a day. And when I get a feeling of nostalgia, it's both the best feeling and the worst feeling in the world. And I first fell in love with Aries music because it was the only music that I felt captured that. At least for me. It's possible that to him it meant something completely different. And that's fine with me. It's fine with me. And listening to his songs made me understand how I felt. And it's a good thing to understand how you feel, because then you can do something about it. And I now have goals I now have come to such grips with the way that I feel about the world that I now have a plan to change it. A good plan. And I'm excited for that plan to maybe work. And for me to get back what I lost. And as I started navigating the real world, Aries' music was kind of a concierge to my introduction to the world. Because when you're in school, you don't know the world. You don't know what the world is like. At least for me. I didn't know what the world was like. I was sheltered. Everything was taken care of by my parents. I went to school. I hung out with my friends. I fucked around. I went home. I had no pressure to do anything except homework. Now I have pressure to do all kinds of things. And that music helped me navigate that transition and navigate coming in contact with how the world actually is. And for that, I am forever grateful and forever in awe of the work that he has done. And I never had a brother. I never had an older brother. I have brothers in the sense that I have very good friends who are guys. I've never had an older brother. So in a way, it's my lights just went off in my car. In a way, he was kind of like a filled that empty space. In a way, not like, I wouldn't say in a definitely, I guess, kind of in a parasocial way. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, I guess. But mainly it was, I watched him and used him as a role model instead of using the people around me. And that brought me to incredible places. All right, I'm going to shut the fuck up.